Hey, welcome back on the Good Morning Artesia radio show. And I have to say, whenever I mention your name on the radio, I have to say candidate Rebecca Dow, no relation. Because I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing for you to tell people that you and I might possibly be related or not. I wouldn't want to do anything to hurt your campaign.
Well, I don't really know that Dow was a common name, but when I announced that I was running for governor, everywhere I go, are you related to this Dow and this Dow? So they're scattered all across the state.
There are Dows around the state.
Yeah, and to my knowledge, I'm not related to any. I met my husband at college at Oral Roberts University, and he's from Orange County, California.
Okay.
So his family's from California.
He's the California Dows.
The California Dows.
Yeah, see, I'm the Iowa Dows.
Okay,
so.
There we go. We're everywhere.
A totally different thing. Well, that's great. But are you from New Mexico? Are you New Mexico born and raised?
I was actually, my dad's an oil field worker. He's an electrical engineer, and he surveyed pipelines. So I was born in Cushing, Oklahoma, where my grandpa was a chemical engineer at the refinery there in Cushing. And so I'm from Oklahoma. My dad became a preacher, and we moved to Truth or Consequences when I was 10.
Okay.
So most of my life, the vast majority of my life has been in New Mexico.
So you went to Hot Springs High School.
Well, that is the hometown high school. I actually graduated from private school.
Okay.
The only one in my class. So class clown. I was voted most likely to become governor of New Mexico. Yeah. Most likely to drop out of college, whatever.
Oh, you got all the awards.
I can give myself every title, because I was the only one in my grade.
Wow, that's so small class.
Yeah, but it's small class, and at the same time, there's folks here that I grew up with, like Jeff Cox. I just saw him at the coffee shop. And so, definitely grew up in TRC, love everything about rural New Mexico, proud to come from a agriculture community and have a working knowledge of what we face as producers in the state. Up against this green woke agenda.
Oh, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
So how does a daughter of a preacher, former oil engineer, raised in TRC, decide to get into politics? Because you were in the state legislature before.
I am.
Are you still in?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I'm represent Grant, Hidalgo,
Tim,
and Sierra
I'm not
County.
getting my research here. So.
I represent Grant, Hidalgo, and Sierra County, and I serve with Jim Townsend as the Republican caucus chair.
Yeah.
And so, how did I get involved in politics? Well, it was my sophomore year of college at Oral Roberts University. I came home for a weekend trip, and I saw my community was hurting. And so I transferred to distance college. This was before online, and decided to finish out college while I was working in TRC. So I started creating opportunities for families that were in government dependency to become self-sufficient.
Okay.
So over 20 years, that includes home visiting, early childhood, pre-K, a K through 12 accredited Christian school, homeschool co-op, after-school programs, a teen center, behavioral health clinic, transitional housing for people post-incarceration, just helping people reach their full potential, what they're created to be, reach their hopes and dreams. And I see that need statewide. My predecessor stepped down from the House, and I ran in that seat. So I just won my third term. I am in a 34% Republican district. I just won with 57%. And that was with a Libertarian. And I don't know, outgunned. George Soros, Michael Bloomberg, Planned Parenthood, Emily's List, the Speaker of the House, all the unions, you name it, the environmental extremists, they all spent money running against me. The election was on Tuesday. And I remember on Sunday, we opened up the door, we're headed to church, and here's this newspaper on our door that says, if you vote for Rebecca Dow, she's going to be in jail before she's even sworn into office. Identity fraud, tax evasion, coercion.
All of this stuff they threw at you.
Rebecca Dow. Bad for New Mexico's children. So anyway, so we won by 57. I'm elected by Hispanic Democrats. So it was during the 60-day session. Pretty frustrated with, I think MLG is the definition of a COVID tyrant. And I don't know the way to describe it. Deploy the National Guard to barricade the Capitol and keep people out.
Oh, she activated the emergency alert system on radio broadcasting to tell everybody not to go to church on Easter Sunday.
Oh, can you believe that? But abortion clinics were essential.
Well, that's going to be that with pot and wind farms. That's going to be our replacement for, Netflix, oil and wind, I should say. abortions and
She
and
has
pot.
literally
Tho-
touted
those are
that
gonna be
we
our
are
saviors.
open, our state is open for abortions.
Yeah.
Come visit New Mexico, and while you're here, get a third trimester elective abortion.
I know.
So we're
it's
sitting on the
insane.
House floor. We have to wear a mask to even represent our district. And I'm listening for 3 hours. By the way, I think there's two genders. There are male and there are female.
Okay.
That's it. And as a woman, I am uniquely created to produce life. And I was listening for 3 hours to women demand that they have the right to abort a baby up to birth.
Yeah.
And it was just really heavy in my spirit. And I heard in my head the scripture where the Spirit of the Lord is, there's liberty and fullness of joy. And where's the liberty in New Mexico? Where's the joy in New Mexico? Record homicide, suicide, children are self-harming. We have more people medicated than ever. And it's because we have no liberty. We have no freedom, and this governor has to go. And it was in that moment that I considered looking for a Republican candidate for governor I could get behind. And when I didn't see someone I thought could win with my numbers, what I have a demonstrated history of doing, then I decided to run it with, with support of my family, of course.
Well, that's fantastic. So your success that you had, though, in TRC, in that area, what counties was it?
Grant, Hidalgo,
Grant.
and Sierra.
Okay. Not some of the higher populated counties in New Mexico.
Well, each representative represents about 35,000 people.
Okay.
So that's my reach, right? Yeah, it's a big district, 2 people per square mile. We have the second largest copper mine in the United States. And of course, the environmentalists who don't want oil and gas also want to shut down the copper mine.
Yeah.
So it just blows my mind. I was in San Juan touring the power plant. It's coal power plant, and they're shutting that down and replacing it with 3,500 acres of solar panels.
Right.
So this base load that's reliable and affordable, oil, gas, coal, nuclear, whatever, they want to do away with it, but they don't want to mine the minerals that are required for their green agenda.
That's right.
This is
Because you need the
upside down
copper
world.
for the motors or the
Lithium,
blades.
copper,
Yeah.
all of it.
Yeah.
And so this is just absurdity. And so, I was happy to sign on to Jim Townsend's bill to open Escalante, keep the San Juan power plant open, and to add natural gas to our clean fuel portfolio. We are an energy-rich state, and we should be celebrating that. And I think, I represent a rural area, an extraction area. Right behind that is farming and ranching in my district.
Right.
There's definitely more cattle than there are people.
Yep.
But if the federal government has their way, they want to change that. I mean, here we are with our forests on fire because of poor management. Our conservationists, the farmers, the ranchers, the commercial loggers are being shut down. Meanwhile, the federal government's starting controlled burns during 60-mile-an-hour wind and drought and awful conditions because we've refused to thin.
Yeah, if the thinning had taken place prior, it wouldn't have been so much of an issue. But it is obviously an issue now.
Yep.
Well, I think the biggest question, a lot of people that are going to be voting in the primary, or, well, if they've already voted, not a lot you can do.
Right.
But for those that have not yet made up their mind, because there's some excellent candidates on the Republican side, I think one of the questions, and I know this is a question that I have, who's going to be able to beat Michelle Lujan Grisham? She's still very popular in the state. There's still a lot of people that thank her for saving their lives during the COVID pandemic.
I mean, can you believe that? They are not able to make their own health decisions.
I understand
not
that.
consult with their doctor. They need the government. They need politicians to tell them what to do.
Right. So what's the
crazy.
story? What do we tell people?
Yeah.
What do you tell people? Because it's a very diverse state, and there's a lot of different economic and cultural backgrounds in that. How do you cut through all of that and convince enough people to vote for you as opposed to Michelle Lujan Grisham?
Well, so first of all, there are 5 candidates in the race, but 2 of us are viable. This race is between me and the weatherman. So I am a lifelong conservative. I am a job creator. I sign checks. I deal with the regulatory environment. And because I have experience in the legislature, I'm ready to govern on day one. So to me, this is probably the most critical election in our state. And for our constitutional republic, there's a lot on the line. And it's not a time for on-the-job training. Like, we need courageous leadership ASAP. And I'm a fighter. And I am the candidate who's actually won in a district that looks very much like our statewide race. So Stephanie Garcia Richardson, our land commissioner, is from my district. Howie Morales, the lieutenant governor, is from my district. And then you got Rebecca Dow. And so I won by 57 points. I won with 57% of the vote with every odd against me. My main competitor lost. And I would say that we're running against the tougher of the two Lujans to beat. So if you practiced on Ben and you failed, we can't risk it. I win in hard swing seat. That's why they redistricted me.
Well, I'm sure.
Just like they redistricted Yvette.
Yvette, yeah, no
they
question
redistricted
about
me
it.
out of my House seat.
If you are successful and you get in, but you're still dealing with the Democrat legislature.
Yeah.
How do you get working with them? What are some of the things that you think as governor that you can get through and get passed by an opposing legislature, if you will?
Right.
Are there any common things?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I have found commonality with there are a few exceptions, but with very few exceptions, I have found the commonality with my colleagues in the House and the Senate, Republican and Democrat. And that's why I'm the only candidate who has a single endorsement from any House or Senate member. Like most of the time people stay out of the primary, I have many endorsements. But the reason why I'm effective is because I find common ground. There might be someone that I just debated abortion on. I'm pro-life from conception, and they'll debate that bill on the House floor. Walk over and say, okay, now let's get together on our tax reform bill. And we just have to find the commonality and go over and say, the person who's your enemy on this bill is your friend on the next bill. But because I've been there, I do know where the commonalities are. First of all, the hard work that we want to do, ending catch and release, putting back in place qualified immunity, real education reforms. Those things take a constitutional amendment. They're going to have to go to the voters. So that means they have to pass the House and the Senate. And I'm so proud of the leadership of Jim Townsend and the candidates that are running in the House. I'm excited for them. I think we have a good chance of picking up a bunch of House seats. This is going to be a red wave like we've never seen before.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a lot easier to get bills through the House, and in 2 years, if we keep up this pace, through the Senate. So I think that hard work can be done over time. But what we can do as governor now is executive order. So overturn things like in the emergency health order, redeploy the National Guard to the border, end the 30 by 30, fix the flawed methane rules. Anything that she's done by executive order, we reverse.
Right.
It also rules and regulations. So when it comes to economy, I want to reduce regulation by 30%. And so that means from the time we win in November until I'm sworn into office in January, I need industry folks telling me where are the barriers that have been put up for ease of business. Why does someone...
Can you stick around for another segment?
Yeah, sure.
For a little bit?
Yes.
Okay. All right. We have candidate Rebecca Dow, no relation, in the studio with us today. And we've got a few more minutes on the other side of the news, so we're going to stick around for that. This is KSVP Artesia, K229AS Artesia. It's 8 o'clock.